I'm going to try that.
Love you, Amy.
Love you.
Bye, Amy. Thank you for coming. We are recording this little section on our little anger exercise. Oh, Yannick is here.
Would you like me to read? I've got it pulled up on the screen.
Okay, wait, let me just start it again a little bit so we can have a complete thing, because this might be a really cool thing. And I just wanted to give a lead in, and then I'll turn over to you, Eve, and welcome Yannick if you're able to hear. Just we're doing an exercise on anger. Alchemizing anger is the topic that we're working for. We're tuning into Earthwaking tenets because they were the richest of all the stuff I found, even though the Alternatives to Violence Project has a lot of information about this. We're looking at 20 gems toward 100% response able. We just modified an Earthwaking concept. Thoughts lead to emotions, lead to actions, lead to results. But Astra suggested we put beliefs in because, then a thought comes and we have an instant interpretation of it. And then come the emotions and actions and results. So what did you have to say, Eve?
Well, we have belief systems like already in place. So it's an organized system that has the files of where the thoughts come from. So we have the belief system, and from that system is where the thoughts come from, because we have a belief that we hold as being true. And if we didn't have this belief, then this thought wouldn't come when we would see something. So
you're suggesting the
then
belief comes before the thought?
Yeah, because it's a whole system. It's a system of beliefs that then has the files where when we see something, like say somebody does something, somebody drops something, picks it up, we have a thought about that, but it's based on the belief system, the root system that's already in place from our experiences or what we've been taught, by parents or school or, whatever.
So this almost seems like, there's a stimulus of some sort. I'm going to just put that in. Because there's something that occurs, and then this thoughts and belief system, whichever you would call the chicken or the egg on that one. So a stimulus kicks in a belief system and thoughts, which lead to emotions. Does that sound right?
Yeah. I don't know what anyone else is, but yeah.
Okay, we'll just dig into that one. Okay, and the idea that I had was all these Earthwaking tenets that just were so rich. Oops, Control Z. And John just volunteered to read them, and when he's reading, just read them nice and slowly. Take a nice pause in between each, and each of us, to whatever degree we can, if you don't have a pen and paper, that's okay too, but just to whatever degree you can, hold on to, or you know what, maybe we could just go through them one by one. That would probably be good. And then just see if there's anything that's up on top, but just keep in mind there's 20 of them here. So and they're all meaningful. They're all good. So if nothing is screaming out to you, then, or maybe we could actually read them really quickly first and then go through them one by one. What do you think? That sounds good. Okay, I'm going to say that. John, if you will read these to us, and then we'll go through them one by one. And if people take notes on the way through, that's good too, but go ahead.
Yeah, so it starts with the staircase of being calm. That turns into annoyance, which turns into irritation, which turns into anger, which turns into rage, which turns into fury. Number one, the world is our mirror. Anything we're angry at out there is pointing to something needing healing within. And number two is opportunities for breakthrough. It's an 18-inch journey from the head through the emotions to the heart. You've got to feel it to heal it. Where in the body it is? Sedona?
That's a particular type of breakthrough process that I made a note to myself. Keep going.
We go where we live emotionally, and we use our environment to get us there. Blank didn't hurt me. I hurt me, and I used the blank to do it. Exclamation point. Slow down a second. Where are
Yep,
we?
I gotta go back up, right?
Yeah, there we go. 5. Every adversity carries the seed of an equal or greater opportunity. Therefore, when something bad, quote, happens, we're triggered, etc. Celebrate. Consider the opportunity to be a creator. What can I use this for? What we resist persists. The conditions, circumstances that makes us angry. What we focus on expands. What we appreciate appreciates. The condition/circumstances we want. Notice what we're getting from anger. Quick brainstorm. Self-righteous jollies, victim significance, attention, sympathy, etc. Feel the chemicals. Cop to it. Number 11, notice our behavior. That is like a radio station. We're broadcasting complaints, blame, justifications, etc. Number 12, notice if I'm fighting my smallness, trapped resources, e.g.
That was fighting
Um,
for my smallness. A lot of times we fight for our smallness.
we're trying for that. Number 13, imagine myself staying attached to this dynamic. What's the trajectory? Number 14, create, imagine, feel into a different view. Number 15, proclaim I am. Number 16, take action, build momentum to a new direction. 17, and I love that. Invite love and invite gratitude. Feel the angry feelings simultaneously. Recall, everything happens for a reason, and that reason is good for all who believe. Believe what? That all things happen for good. Everything is perfect. Love is the only thing that exists.
And then I had this little PS on here, anger that we experience, this came up from Amy, I believe, versus being on the receiving end of someone else's anger, with some possible intentional triggering on another. So, but still, regardless of if somebody else is trigger, doing all they can to make us angry, it's still and always our concern is our responsibility, regardless of what anyone else is up to. This is about us becoming 100% responsible for our own circumstances. So anyway, given all those, and I may have and very likely have forgotten some, which you're welcome, welcome to pop in. If anybody had anything right off the top that they noticed or wanted to say about any of that, and then we can sort of go through one by one.
I like the first one. The world is our mirror. Anything we're angry out there is pointing to something needing healing within us.
Anybody have a resistance to that? Feel that's bullshit? Righty.
I mean, I can provide examples.
Any yeah, and if anybody has anything, because I'm just gonna kind of move through unless somebody feels it. Oh, there's Suzanne. Sorry, I didn't see you. I may not see hands always because of this dynamic, so speak up as needed.
So are we just going to address each one separately? So we're starting with number one and then we're going,
Yeah,
and anybody can comment about it?
Yeah, we could, bring in our, valuing it, resisting it, tales to tell about it, insights gained. And we can also add anything that we feel would be appropriate for this list. And we can also, but I just thought we just went through that reading. If anybody's got something on top they feel like sharing, just because we went through that reading, I would make it.
Well, what I would share is that almost every single one of these point to an internal responsibility that you take, where you immediately turn around and look at how your behavior, your thoughts, your beliefs are contributing to what is occurring. So that internal journey the mirror, the journey within, from the head to the heart, you know, all these processes start from taking responsibility 100% for what's happening.
Right.
And
right.
that's what that's the first, that to me is the first step. And then everything else goes from there.
I love how you wrote eternal responsibility, Noel.
Yeah,
Eternal
yeah,
responsibility.
It's not untrue.
It's not untrue.
Yeah, I think that the responsibility, you know, there's a fine line there, because when when I was not conscious of something below the surface, it was still operating, driving the show. It's a proverbial fig leaf, which was placed there as a response to you know, the story that I lived out as a child, where my heart it wasn't safe to be seen. So you know, I think this 18-inch journey is, you know, it's a turning within, and it's thereby the result is a polishing, you know, or you could say you know, I mean, it's not quite, you know, it's a process, but you know, I love the Japanese art of kintsugi, I believe it's called, where they solder a shattered vase or vessel, which we are made from clay, according to the book that they say is good but don't follow. That shattered vessel is our heart, and so where the healing from sometimes it's very hard for us to break out of the pattern and turn back and look. That is where the light gets in, and the shine comes in, and that's where we can meet others once we've done that. It's KINT, I believe, SUG or JI.
Okay, I'm gonna invite, there were two hands up when you started talking, so I just wanna,
No worries.
all righty, so that was you first, Dolores.
I just I thought we were going to comment on the thing that was just read, and I was, eternal responsibility for, okay. So anyway, what came up for me was the reason I'm so angry about the child abuse. It's my inner child is the one that is just super, super angry about all that. So I just wanted to share that.
And, you know, just because that's so ripe and rife, and a lot of people have that kind of, you know, so if it's this inner child, or I think, you know, Astrid with her, you know, these people are clamping down on other people just having free expression, and just, you know, that it's enraging, you know, there's just the fury level gets reached. But if it's if it's truly 100% responsible, I have, it's my reflection. So what can I do inside with that level to really take responsibility for that? Like, if you have any idea, Dolores, I'm just putting it out to you, because you've got this inner child that was, you know, severely abused, and now you have a rage about the kids out there being severely abused. And from an earthwaking perspective, if you can somehow bring calm waters to your own inner experience, that's the most effective thing you can do to help the children out there. The reason children are in cages right now is because of our children have been in cages. The way to free them is to do the inner work and free it. So do you have any ideas, Dolores, about how to free that child, so that you're not enraged about other children suffering? And
Well,
perhaps,
that's what I was going to say right when you started, was that I am acknowledging my inner child, and I have for years now, but it's more and more and more I'm loving her. I'm putting my arms around her. When she's upset, I console her. I let her come out and do what she wants to do. We play. She plays with the puppy now. And, I'm just acknowledging her and letting her surface and come out. And she will be on the drums too. Her and I think a Sweet Freedom are going to be the drummers. So, okay.
Okay, that's beautiful. Okay, what do you got, Anissa?
I just wanted to respond to the mirror and taking responsibility. So what I've been doing a lot now, as this anger surfaces, I've been doing a lot of that regression tool on myself, you know, on whatever it is. I mean, I know sometimes it's easier to have somebody do it with you, but it's pretty powerful. It kind of gets me to the source of where it's coming from. And then I can, like do that thing. It's like, what did you tell yourself? And then, come with a truth. So that is very, very helpful as a tool for me to dealing with my rage. And
So you're taking yourself through regression breakthroughs.
yeah, regression breakthroughs and being outdoors a lot more. I think I'm outdoors right now because somehow it diffuses out into the universe, around trees and nature.
That's fantastic. So, anybody else? So we'll go through these one by one, and we now had that eternal, what it was that words again, eternal responsibility. Okay, and any more on the world is our mirror? Anything we're angry out there is pointing to something needing healing within. Any more comments on that one?
I Anyway, I just wanted to comment on what Anissa said, is that something my inner child does too, is we go outside and play, and we alchemize that anger into gardening. And so we take the negative anger and we create something beautiful. And that's something I've done for years. So I love that.
Okay, fantastic. So opportunities for breakthrough, we sort of just touched on that with that's part of Anissa's regular deal. That's part of my regular deal. I take responsibility when I'm feeling out of whack, and when I meditate, I say, what do you got, God? Is there something I need to dig in on? I feel around and I follow the pain trails, and I take responsibility for the pain trails. And then in this thing, where in the body is it? Literally, there's this notion of, okay, I'm upset. I'm where in the body is it? Okay, it's like in my solar plexus area. What does it feel like? And just really feel into it, breathe into it, feel into it. And then you can noodle with it. You can simply ask yourself questions. Could I make it bigger, even bigger? And just feel it getting bigger and bigger. If there's little bats in the belfry, could I call all the bats to me in the belfry and make this freaking huge? Oh my God, it feels so freaking big. Could I dive into it like I was just getting to the very core of it, and like I'm diving off a high diving board, any kind of creative? Could I feel as much as I feel of it, and then could I feel the opposite, and then go back and forth 10, 20 times? That's a Sedona. It's just constant, like, noodling with the questions within, to just, and what that does is it allows the energy to move. Go ahead, Astrid.
I'm not sure how many of these other points this connects to because I can only see one and it doesn't really matter. Of course, it's all connected. Never mind. So, the thing that I always include, sometimes I'm not thinking about it in the split second, but eventually, upon like revisiting a moment where I feel anger, and then I move into forgiveness. Sometimes, I'll call in the Ho'oponopono prayer because I know that forgiveness is probably going to be important in that. But then, of course, I'm always, when I do any kind of clearing statements, when I use the Ho'oponopono, when I delve more deeply into the source of my anger within, what is the mirror showing me? I will always remember to include other lifetimes, even if I don't know what those lifetimes or those anecdotes were. I can pretty much assume that there have probably been at least 50 other moments in other lifetimes where I've experienced exactly this. And so I always include in whatever lifetimes, or kind of say those words, and I say something as generic as possible so that my ego hears me say it and it can't argue with me, right? And then what I do after I do a clearing that includes not just this moment with that person or that situation, but all the lifetimes where this has occurred, where this is a pattern. And then what I do is I express gratitude and appreciation and acknowledgement for having cleared it now in this lifetime, knowing that it has arrived for me now with this level of consciousness and with my capacity to work with the Akashic records. I appreciate it coming forward for me now so that I can clear it in this now and throughout all my lifetimes. And the acknowledgement and the appreciation is just like the cherry on top, of course. And so I'm adding a positive affirmation and acknowledgement to the end of that. So I don't know if that's what we're supposed to be doing, but that's what was popping
Yes,
up for
that's
me.
exactly perfectly glorious, and I'm so glad I'm typing these as fast as I can. It might not be perfect, but I get the general
Well, what's
gist.
great is that we're recording it. Thank you, Amy, for
Oh, yeah,
suggesting
yeah, I
it.
forgot about that. Yep, yep.
Yay!
That's awesome. So, all right, we go to where we live emotionally and we use our environment to get us there. And these actually are really combined. So and so didn't hurt me. I hurt me and I used so and so to do it. Or such and such didn't hurt me. I hurt me and I used such and such to do it. So anything come up on that one? Smarts, memories. There's two participants with raised hand. Is your raised hand still raised, Astrid, or can we let Yannick go?
Well, I'll just add to that is that that's when I go in and I say, okay, other lifetimes, right? I might have soul contracts. I might have agreements with someone else. I might have you know, that could be about another lifetime. And so why did I prepare? Why did I bring this forward for me? Yeah. And I'll lower my hand. I think.
Okay, Yannick. Thank you.
Uh, yeah. So, I mean, and from how I see it, oftentimes, um, the story is a protection device. It keeps us safe in an emotionally in a world that we experience as emotionally insecure. So, what oftentimes is going on is that this, secondary organ known as the prefrontal cortex, which evolved very late in um, the evolution of humanity and life. It is um, it is the story keeper. It is my friend calls it Marion the librarian. It's the one who's trying to keep things organized and control, safe. We're not going to go there, what have you. But oftentimes it's pointing to a deeper wound, and these, if you're living a story, that's a human created device. It's created by the flesh, and that will not stand in heaven. So the Bible says, anyway, I guess the Bible does say that that the devil rules all the flesh when we didn't trust love. Now, this is really a journey of learning to trust love and, learning to trust our own nervous systems and dropping into our hearts, can be a challenge, which, many, and I've been there, are terrified of because this story keeper is, got to be in control. So anyway, I'm rambling, but
that was wonderful. Hook up into our hearts is terrifying. To the story.
right, because the story, the ego needs to be in control,
Right.
and the ego is just what the Toltecs say it's an agglomeration of which is like the if you look at the Mademoiselle or those Vogue or whatever, those thick, stiff pages that are really, really, really glossy. That's what we try to present to the world, but it's really just layers and layers and layers of clay and paper and clay and paper and clay and paper, and it's a created image, and it's a story, and it's it has no place in heaven.
All right.
It's
Thank
not
you very
truthful.
much. Yeah. Okay, that's cool stuff. Thank you. Dolores, you got your.
Can you hear me? I just plugged myself into the amp.
I do.
Okay, cool. Okay, so I was gonna comment on we hurt ourselves, but we let other people. What was that? We hurt ourselves by
I
other
used
people.
such and blank didn't hurt me. I hurt me and used so and so to do it.
Yeah, what came up for me was I've been married 3 times, been in a long-term relationship for 8 years, was never married. He didn't want to marry. He said the Bible said you take a wife, you don't marry a wife. And anyway, relationships. I've just had so much hurt and trauma around men, relationships. So that's what came up for me.
I'm not quite okay. So that was just kind of an observation there. So we have just about, I forgot, very few minutes left. So and we got quite a bit to go. We could actually dig into this as a part 2 next time. Or we can, we can see where we get with this next few minutes, but every adversity carries the seed of an equal or greater opportunity. Therefore, when something bad happens and we're triggered, the logical thing to do is to celebrate, consider the opportunity to be a creator. What can I use this for? So those are all kind of clumped into one little section. So this truly, if one really, really could embrace this, is a miracle maker. And I know because I've experienced miracles doing this. When I've been in a circumstance that feels really bad and took that time to say, oh, this is what John's talking about when he talked about flying off the dirt bike and breaking every, his back and other bones and just being in more pain than he remembered being in, and just managing to survive that with, pushing a fist into his own spine when he was already in agony, and just being grateful, love, gratitude, peace, and within 3 days, he's all better, so, and that I had a physical, miracle, more than one physical miracles happen by doing this. And I wasn't doing it for that because I didn't really believe and expect that it was going to work, but it really did. So if we own this one, holy crap, oh good, here's something miserable going on in the village. Tammy, the sweet, sweet Tammy, when the shit hits the fan, she's the quickest one to go, yay! Everybody's like, oh my God. And she pops in with a yay. You can see how that could be powerful. What has anyone got on that one, if anyone wants to contribute?
But I think there's that number 8 might be a goal, but when you're still stuck in the story or the
All right,
old
I'm gonna-
wiring of the nervous system, I mean, what you guys are really after is basically
This
a,
one, I'm gonna
a,
just highlight this one for you. We have little time and I want to highlight this one. Whoops, Control Z. Notice when I am, where the hell is it? Am I fighting for my smallness? Trapped with, I'm fighting for my smallness. Right now, to me, I'm hearing you fighting for your smallness. That's really
no,
hard.
what I'm saying is that there's a danger of override, to just jump that without um, and writing a new story without getting to the deeper layer of
Okay, like spiritual bypass kind of idea.
yeah.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Astrid.
Um, I,
Because
I
this is
can't remember.
hardwired
Were we
into
having
us.
this conversation? I think we were having a conversation about death on Sunday, right? Okay, well, because I've been so sick, I mean, I've just been, one of the nights I was really just I just kind of want to just sink into my body and not be resisting the feelings I was having. And I called in, you know, I called in everything and I just, wanted to just be in it as opposed to saying, oh, I feel so bad, and all that. And I was then kind of recalling the conversation we were having. I think it was Sunday where, I was thinking like, what would death be like? I don't think I'm afraid of death and all that. And that kind of was coming back to me again as I was beginning to lose the sensation in my body. I felt like I could just have been effervescence and just dissolving away. And then I thought, oh, well, okay, if death is not what I'm afraid of, then what is? And then all this other stuff came in. And so when I think about, oh boy, I think it was the seed of equal opportunity. Okay. So the opportunity is for me when I'm feeling, the opportunities are, oh boy, I'm a little foggy right now. Anyway, uh, I'm likening it back to that because what came to me is that it's not that I'm afraid of death. So then why am I having these thoughts? And the thought then occurred to me, or the awareness, the awareness came to me is that, oh wait, it's not a question about death, dying. Am I afraid of death? Because I already know, no, I am not. It is about choosing life for me. I'm facing this idea about how am I feeling about death? How would it feel if my body were just to just end and I could just dissolve away and be free? And what happened was I realized, oh, I'm here because I want to choose life. How do I choose life? How do I live choosing life? So when I think about adversity carrying a seed of opportunity, my thought goes back to that aha moment I had. And so perhaps anger carries with it a, a seed of the opportunity to understand exactly what it is that would make me joyful. So, what's underneath the rock, the yin and the yang of it all. So it's when I resist something, it allows me to very clearly uncover what I prefer, going back to what our friends Abraham Hicks have told us.
Thank you, thank you. All right, I'm gonna have suggest something and see if people are in agreement. Um, I think next week I can't. When is it? No, yeah, next week I can. Okay, if people are willing, we could just say goodbye to anyone who needs to go now because the time is arrived at the end of our 2 hours. And instead of building an agenda for next time, continue on with this. And there's more we can definitely dig into. And what we don't get accomplished in the next half hour, we could make a different agenda, or if we do get it all done, somebody could just suggest a topic and we can, yeah, I could be create that. But in other words, are people needing to go? We love you. You're fantastic. Thank you for showing up. See you next time, hopefully. And are people willing to continue for another half hour so we can just really flesh this out and see where we're at as far as, let me just take a look.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm willing to go. What, and you two, I see you unmuting yourself, Eve Mai.
Yeah, I'm willing to stay. I was
Okay.
actually, yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
All right, so we'll just thank you. So, all right, that's fantastic. And if anybody needed to go, I guess they will take care of themselves. I think 2 people did go. Nisa said left. She might have been saying goodbye at that
And
time.
Megan has to go.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Megan, I love you and I look forward to the next adventure with you. And I think
Guys.
can't figure out who else left, but oh, Suzanne. Suzanne must have had to go. All right, so we'll still, hopefully I'll be able to get this recording to people in any case. So share screen. I just wanted to share a little bit more about how I did this thing with every adversity carries an equal greater opportunity. It's mentioned down at the bottom, but since this is the topic now too, but it's this literally one example was a burn I shared. I reached in the wood stove. I put my hand on a really red hot piece of wood, not realizing because it was not, didn't appear to be on fire. So I was like, oh, I got to push that into the ember so it'll burn better. And it was burning just fine. Thank you very much. But immediate agony from, burned flesh and bubbles of my, my pads of my finger were already like bubbling, starting to bubble. And I like, and then I thought, oh, this is one of those times. So it's like, okay, I'm going to feel this as fully as I possibly can, every little nook and cranny of this horrible burning sensation. And I'm going to be grateful. Thank you. And I'm going to just love this. So I really, really felt love and gratitude simultaneously to the pain. I wasn't trying to do anything to the pain. I was feeling it completely. And I was feeling love and gratitude. And within 10 minutes, the pain was gone. And that's why that thing about, are we fighting for our smallness? Because if we have a belief system in place that says we have to do, this came up in the visionary class recently, it was so like mind-blowing to me, this concept of standards and ideals versus values, that I have been chasing, an ideal of being healthy, being enlightened, being, for freaking my whole life, when it's soon up the road a piece, I'm going to get better at this, I'm going to be okay with that. But if you literally say, I am love, and you feel love and you feel that that's what you are, you can do that in the moment. You don't have any time gap. It's already accomplished. It is accomplished. I am already gratitude. I am already, fully capable of bringing that experience of, frequency into my reality. And when I did that, and this did, it worked on a burn, it worked on an infection, it worked on a crick in my neck, it worked on it without, just simply love the thing, because things that are not part of God's design and things that are can't coexist. So if you really, really sincerely and genuinely just spend time in the energetic state of love, other things that are not love get trumped. I'm sticking to it. So, anything more on that last one?
Well, what occurred to me is that it's standards and something,
And ideals. So I'm always
standards and
chasing an
ideals
ideal.
versus values,
Values.
right?
And he had another word that went with values, but I can't remember what it was.
Right. I can't remember it either. But it's interesting because when I think about standards and ideals, those are the values, the powers that were, that set up the systems and the institutions by which we are supposed to live. So it's there, the values are existing. It's whose values are we living according to? The ones of the powers that were, or our own sovereign values? That's because the ideals and standards and values are all there, but whose are they, and whom do they serve?
Well, I think there might be a word that's more in line with like fruits of the spirit. I can even say that versus fruits of the
Gotcha. Yeah,
spirit.
yeah.
So if we're constantly seeking an ideal, thinking that we're not that already, and the fact is actually we are already, in truth, the only thing I am is pure God, pure love. Anything that isn't that is a lie. It's a construction. And so in the moment I can be what I am. But if I'm telling myself I got to do 26 things to get there, that's the truth that I have created for myself. My truth, not the truth. So. Yeah, that the boy was like symbols when he distinguished that one. I was like, oh my God, there I am. Just an ideal junkie. All right, so what we resist persists. The condition or circumstance that makes us angry will persist if we resist it.
Wait, so are we continuing or are we planning for next week? I'm not
I think what we got was continue with this, and if we
oh,
don't finish, we can make another agenda of this next week. Anger is a good rich topic. We can just do it.
gotcha. Okay, thank you.
And we, if we finish and we want to do something else, we can just pop something in and
And
whoever
re-record this also next week since it's a continuation.
works for me. I think what we would do is probably just, the exercise like we're doing, I guess, because I'm not sure how this is going to go. I'm recording where I used to live. It didn't work. So I'll see if it works. I can do little tiny things, but I haven't been able to do big things. So,
Next week when I'm back on the computer, I can record it on my computer.
okay, fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
What do you got,
I
Dolores?
think I
Oh,
good.
Dolores' hand is up, and then you, Yannick.
Mm.
I was gonna comment on what you were saying. Oh yeah. What you were saying, Noel, about ideals and what that's what I'm working on. Is it seems like I'm always out in the future or in the past, and so but I'm doing not in the presence, not standing in my presence, because I'm doing because I got to do this, I got to do that, and I got to do this, and this needs to be done, and that should have been done yesterday, and I'm not doing that. And and then I've got my past that I'm dealing with, and what I'm working on is to just don't worry about, just do it. Because when you do something with your whole heart, it just means so much more, and the energy all around, your house could be a mess, but if the energy is good, that's what's important. And so just do things with my heart, and not because they need to be done, or somebody might come over and they might see my floor needs to be vacuumed, or right now I'm having to work on Romeo because I've been sick and haven't been able to groom him, and I got to get this done. No, I do a little bit and then we take a break. And then I'm saying I can do this for days. I don't have to, because I was a groomer and I did 5 or 6 dogs a day. So it's like I got to get this done. And I'm really working on myself to tone that down and just be in the present, and love myself, and give myself space to just enjoy my surroundings and everything, and not have to get her done. So that's what I wanted to share.
Wonderful, thank you. You're up, Yannick.
I forgot what I was going to say. Let's see here. Yeah. Oh, one of the things, in my experience, anger is a response to sorrow. Um, if you go far enough back, and it's anger and sorrow are the two primary responses to shame, which is essentially the world where the caretaker has decided to be its own god and made itself a god in its own image, apart from the
There's
heart.
something about that piece which just feels like victim, like that, you know, if we really,
We're all victims to that. The whole entire ecosystem, the biosphere,
but
is
what
as
if we're
victims to
not?
that.
Just as a question, what if we're not victims of that? All I know, like that business with me growing up my entire life
Well,
believing that I was a victim.
okay. So
Could I just finish that one sentence?
yeah, it's fine. You're coming from an anthropocentric. I'm sorry, I forgot to put that in place. All we are victims of an anthropocentric age, which says I, the flesh, am gonna be God, and it's where one man rules and reigns over the other, like the Pharaoh says, I'm the son of God, and that means you're a slave because you're not an Egyptian, or you're basically you're under my authority. And that's pretty much what every ego does, is it judges someone else. So there is a sorrow that because it didn't it that's just a response. It's not coming from the soul. It's not coming from the love of God, which is the love for all that was all life and all things that were not created by the hands of men.
Thank you. I will defer my fight for some other time. Eve, Mai, you had your hand up. Are you able to talk?
Yeah, I just don't know what I'm gonna contribute. I was just gonna say, like you said earlier, um, love. That's it, and you're sticking to it. Love and grace in everything. With love comes grace, and I don't have anything else to say. That's it. Thank you. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. All righty. So where are we at? What we resist persists, the condition, circumstance that makes us angry. What we focus on expands. What we appreciate appreciates. So what the circumstances that we would prefer, if that's where our attention is focused. And it seems like there's like this dance of getting more and more acclimated to what we prefer, and getting which is like the present of the present, and then taking our focus off the past and this ideal self that we're trying to produce in the future. So go ahead, Yannick.
Oh, I thought I was done.
Oh, your hand is up, so I didn't know. So
Oh, sorry. Let me put it down.
I just lowered it there. So okay, so notice now, all right, so notice what we are getting from our anger. So this is really kind of a really good self-awareness one. So I had a quick brainstorm for think about it. I mean, like when I am really hot and angry, I have some sense of like I'm fighting for the underdog. I feel like some kind of a hero energy come up. I mean, there's usually if somebody is just attacking me, and in my perception, I'm feeling attacked. I'm putting that in quotes, even though sometimes I still feel that way. Uh, and then it's not about me heroing anybody but myself. Um, what am I getting out of being angry? I feel powerful. I feel like I can put that person in their place. I can scare them, so there's jollies attached. Uh, there was victim significance. If you're, feeling like, yeah, whatever, attention, sympathy, anybody got anything that they can notice about what you're getting from the anger feelings?
Um, power and control, attention, sympathy.
Okay, let me just put the power and control, attention, sympathy, power.
Which attention and sympathy is ultimately power and control over the situation and the person.
Okay. All right, it's kind of nice to just get a sense that I don't do these things in a vacuum. There's some kind of a payoff. So it says feel the chemicals cop to it. I also feel like there was a time I would have sworn that I was innocent and that it just happens. I don't have any control over it. You know, but I know there's a point right before I choose to jump in that I could choose to not jump in. Go ahead, Astrid.
You know, I'm sitting here. Well, I'm actually lying here. I'm pulling an Amy. I'm realizing I don't feel anger that often. I feel frustrated. I feel disappointed. I feel shock uh, uh, and I realize, okay, when I get angry, it feels like that's when it pops up and out. You know, that's when it erupts, is when those feelings might, if I've been stacking the feelings of all those other things, maybe I'm pissed off at myself and then it erupts or whatever, something. But then I realize for me, when I erupt with anger, it's giving me a voice to be heard. But I don't do that often anymore. I mean, I'm really operating on a different level these days, so I have a really easy way, you know, I communicate with ease, I should say. But when I feel hurt or when I feel disappointed or misunderstood or misinterpreted, uh, and then I don't have a chance to clarify, if that just kind of, that's it, oh, time's up, and then that's it. I don't have a chance to speak to that misinterpretation, to clarify. Then if I feel anger, I think it's because my voice wants to erupt and be heard, and I can't do it in the nice way. So I have to be loud and be heard, and it feels like anger, but maybe it's just the little Astrid in me who just wants to be heard over the adults that are trying to, you know, that are the adults. I don't know. I don't know. Uh,
Thank you. All right, Dolores.
How do you not get angry about the kids in cages and having cigarettes put out on their feet and stuff like that, and being sexually abused and all that kind of crap? How can you not get angry about all of that?
Does anybody have a response to that? I know Astrid has a different viewpoint from her.
right. Well, okay. I have a couple different tracks on that about all the things, because oh yeah, if I start thinking about all the terrible things that humans do every day, um, and if I stay in my human self, I could probably be angry and wail and scream until my throat is raw, is out, is, you know, I don't know. The wailing, the screaming, the pound, like I just would want to rip limb from limb. There's that, definitely that part of me when I connect with my human feelings about it. And then when I rise above that and I observe that Earth is a place of learning and that souls wish to express themselves and experience what it's like to live in the 3D, to experience a life that's led by emotions, because humans, we're emotion-based units. And so, you know, on the soul level, we don't have emotions that lead to beliefs and thoughts and behaviors and triggers and being victims or being victimizers. So from a higher perspective, I know that each individual person has a soul contract and they came here to experience the very thing that we're observing. And then when I observe that, I see them as serving a purpose. And then when I hear about the children in cages, I know that those children and the people that are rescuing them are serving the purpose to wake the rest of the people up. And sometimes it takes the very worst of stories, the very most terrible and horrific of experiences to finally get someone's attention, to pay attention. And so I thank those souls of those children for serving in this way because they are grabbing the attention of multi-millions of people that were not paying attention to what is really happening before. And so I thank them for their service because I know they're serving humanity in such an important way that no one else doing nothing else can. So that's my sole perspective on it. I don't know if that makes sense to you all, but so I choose so there's two, there's the human and also the soul perspective. Or the higher perspective, maybe. I don't know how you would say it, but I can
That
feel it. I can feel both of it. Yeah.
Yeah, and this is a real, this kind of thing is a real kind of, here I am, Astrid is coming from one very, one direction. I'm coming often from another direction without, without a whole lot of, I'm learning about this very biblical kind of a take, but there's things that actually seem to point to it um biblically as well. There's some aspects because I'm reading the darn thing and I'm getting trying to put it all together in my mind, and like Jonathan talks about soul friends versus uh, uh body friends, and if you remember that thing, Dolores, where um Peter, who was saying, "Not on my watch, Jesus. You're not going to get strung up on any cross." That was a body friend, and Jesus rebuked him and said, "Get behind me, Satan. That's a big crock of shit. I'm here to do this thing." And then Judas was his soul friend. So when Judas comes in and he kisses him and he calls him friend because Judas is doing this evil thing that was not the whole world judges Judas, but the story could not have unfolded as it did if Judas didn't play that role. And Jonathan has said things like, those people at the cast party are going to have a big fuss made over them. So that it's just so fun, absolutely fascinating to me, just this whole thing we appear to have done on this plane or in the process of doing. So,
You
all
know,
right,
the
we got
way
it.
that sometimes I can see it played out is that, when sometimes parents of murdered children can go and visit the murderer of their child and forgive them. And that is how they feel. I mean, how can you make that up? But that they can go to the jail and they can forgive them. And even sometimes it's happened where they have become friends. And now they're doing work out, upon the murderer's release. I mean, read a story recently where the person who killed the person's child, now they're going around, they're talking about violence prevention. So now I know that they have a soul contract. And the reason that the parent can go into the jail and forgive them is because on a soul level, that parent knows, okay, you all did the thing. And now that begets the work that we're about to do, which is to go around for years and years and years and talk about violence prevention. That's why my child died, so that so many more young women and men can learn about violence prevention from us. This incredible and unbelievable duo, me, the parent of a child who was murdered, by you, the murderer, and here we are doing this thing. How much more attention can we get? And that's a soul contract, and that's my evidence. Like that's my evidence. So that's the only way I know how to explain that. How could they forgive them? Well, that's how.
Yeah. Well, that's beautiful. And we are approaching the end of our time. Anything more on what we've done? I think I would like to draw a line here and just start, this will be our point of entry for the discussion next time. And I think because it's a little shorter, we might actually get through that whole thing in our exercise period. And all we'd have to do really is come up with a gathering and another light and lively. And then we would have our agenda if everybody's up for doing anger again next time. Does everybody?
Yeah,
Okay.
that sounds good. A word that's popping in that I just want to plop in, maybe at the bottom or at the, I don't know, is judgment. The way
Okay.
that we
Yeah.
judge, I feel like getting in touch with why we're angry, the source of it, all the things we've just been talking about, the more we can be clear about how judgment, I don't know, I feel like judging others, judging ourselves, that because judgment creates separation. And the more we can be clear about, the more,
It's
I'm sorry,
also,
I have like sick brain, sick bed brain, but the judgment that is connected to anger because it's about separation. So the more we can get clear about why we're angry and why the anger is serving us, maybe that can help to dissolve judgment, which is creates separation. I don't know.
it's perfect because that was the fall, that
Okay.
right from the beginning, if we literally lived in the present moment and
Yeah.
managed to wrangle all our feelings in the present moment, and
Right.
drop judgment, and we're in heaven. So that's cool.
Mm.
Thank you. All
Yeah,
right.
my experience is judgment is essentially uh taking up court and climbing up on my judgment seat, and then you're at my feet, and I've essentially made myself king. And that is, and the spirit showed me when I went through and learned that lesson that, well, I was up there with the demons in the air, which is the spirits of darkness. And, they're in, we're supposed to live in the present moment, experience everything, and picture if you were, raised in the wilderness. Okay, well, that sound, you would have already learned before you were being trained to be a hunter, the sounds of all these different animals, and you might learn some more finery and what have you, and adaptation by observation, and it's just a process. And everyone is doing it to varying degrees, and it's it's a creation that's not of God. It's a creation of the flesh apart from God. It's not the way that evolution went until the fall, where so there's a head versus a heart thing, and I think ladies know this. Well, I mean, let me step back. There's a spirit. There's a communication of spirit when the whole flock of birds or fish turn at once. It's the spirit that they communicate through, and ladies know this. I think when when a man is staring at them from across the room, uh, they pick up on it. Now, whether or not, they take that, they take their assumptions to that. It's like, oh, I like this guy, or I don't like this guy. That's going to really impact how they feel about it. But that's a prey. That's the same thing as prey versus predator in the natural world. That's an animal instinct of the spirit.
Okay. I think I got a little confused by that last one. Not the way.
Anyway, there's a whole lot of, we have to be willing. No, most people are afraid to unpack all of this stuff, and to get to the root of the story, because they were born into a world ruled by fear and shame. That's why, people keep reproducing. It's like, oh well, like we'll pass this off and let our kids stop the trauma, the passing on of trauma.
Thank you. I
Mhm.
feel like we had a,
I rambled.
no, there's only 4 of 9 of us, so I don't think I want to do this anymore because I luckily
Okay.
recorded today, but it was so tempting today. I really was enjoying the topic, but I think I do want us to end on time as a rule. Maybe occasionally we would do that, but and that way, because some people, they got the 2 hours they can offer, but they can't offer anymore. So I think as a rule, we'll spend this half hour doing the other work. But today we did this, and I'm gonna stop the recording. But that was so rich. How do I stop the recording?
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for contributing. So valuable. Thank you.
Yeah, gosh, it really, really, really was. I'm not seeing the, oh, there we go, stop.